Hi, back again. It's February 1st, which means it's 1 week to the beginning of the end of The Flash. And I know it will be a shortened season, so that will fly by like a flash. Um, I have a lot to talk about today. Of course, I'm going to talk about James Gunn. I have two things I am going to show the video, and there's an article. Apparently, he commented on some things, and you know how the Hollywood Reporter likes to write articles about comments, so I have that. And but I want to start off today talking about Misha Green, the creator of Lovecraft Country. I don't know if you remember the show from HBO Max with Jonathan Majors and Journey Smollett. She is going to be she's going to have her directorial debut. Where is that? So Misha Green to make directorial debut with Journey Smollett thriller Sunflower. The Lovecraft Country creator will reteam with Smollett for the Lionsgate feature about two women struggling to escape from a deranged college professor who holds them hostage. Lovecraft Country creator Misha Green is set to make her feature directorial debut with Sunflower, a thriller for Lionsgate set to star Journey Smollett. Green will write and helm the film about two women struggling to escape from a deranged college professor who holds them hostage on a remote sunflower farm. Green and Craig Flores will produce the project unveiled by Nathan Kahane, president of the Lionsgate Motion Picture Group, which is eyeing a summer start for the production. Besides the HBO series Lovecraft Country, Misha's upcoming credits include writing and producing the feature film The Mother for Netflix. Recent credits for Smollett include Birds of Prey, the Joseph Kosinski sci-fi film Spiderhead. Oh yeah, I remember. I have to finish watching that too. I started watching that and then something came up and I had to stop, but it looks good so far. And Lou, which she executive produced on and starred in opposite Allison Janney. Sunflower reunites Smollett and Green after they worked together on the series Underground and then Lovecraft Country. The latter received 18 Emmy nominations, including nods for Smollett's performance and Green's writing. Everyone at our studio was completely drawn in by the way Misha, Journey, and the Lovecraft Country team worked so confidently to create a compelling genre series, then subverted the genre and reinvented it through a new lens, said Kahane in a statement. I am so saying his name wrong. Green added that Sunflower is the first script she sold after arriving in Hollywood, and now the thriller will be her first feature directorial outing. I couldn't have hoped for better partners and collaborators than Nathan, the Lionsgate's team, Craig, and Journey to help me shepherd it to the big screen, she said in her own statement. Meredith Week and Aaron, okay, those are representation, so it's like we don't have to go deep into the woods, into the weeds over those. So excited about that. I'm always excited to hear about, another Black female director getting her chance. Because again, someday. Next. Oh, HBO Max. We got to talk about HBO Max first. Yes, it sounds great. It sounds very interesting. Can't wait for it to come out. But go to HBO Max. Where's that? Why can't I find it? Oh, here we go. Sorry. Okay, Roku and Tubi snap up shelved HBO Max shows, including Westworld. So remember how HBO Max was getting rid of all of those shows off their platform and was taking everything off left and right. And, people were all in despair because they were not going to see all these shows ever again. Well, now both Roku and Tubi are getting about 2,000 hours of Warner Brothers Discovery content. One streamer's trash is another streamer's treasure, which is how several series unceremoniously yanked from HBO Max by Warner Brothers Discovery, including Westworld, are set to become prize jewels of Roku and Tubi. As Variety reports, Warner Brothers Discovery is ready to live in the fast lane, that is free ad-supported television, by launching its own channels to carry the kind of series that, while possibly beloved, don't inspire people to pay HBO Max prices. Roku and Tubi will be the first platforms to carry Warner Brothers Discovery's fast channels, and some of the properties heading their way, including Westworld, still canceled but once again available to stream, as well as The Nevers, Raised by Wolves, F-Boy Island, Legendary, Finding Magic Mike, Head of the Class, and The Time Traveler's Wife. Both Roku and Tubi are getting about 2,000 hours of Warner Brothers Discovery content, and while they will have significant overlap, there are some titles that appear destined for one platform and not the other. Altogether, the series will be culled from HBO Max, Discovery Channel, HGTV, Food Network, TLC, Warner Brothers Pictures, Warner Brothers Television, and more. However, the cavalry doesn't appear to be coming for Batgirl, which got shelved after it had finished shooting. Warner Brothers Discovery still thinks the most profitable path there is as a tax write-off. I am so Roku will see the new title sometime in spring, while Tubi will roll out some Warner Brothers Discovery content as soon as Wednesday. Oh, as soon as today. February 1st. Complicated matters is that Warner Brothers Discovery still plans to launch an all-in-one streamer combining HBO Max and Discovery Plus sometime early this year. Pricing, packaging, and even the name of this new product have not been revealed, though sources suggest WBD is leaning towards the title Max. After a pandemic pause, the streaming wars are once again heating up. Earlier this week, Paramount Plus announced that Showtime will be rebranded as Showtime with Paramount Plus as the company works to integrate its various streaming platforms. That was interesting news. So, yes. So, Raised by Wolves. I hope they bring that back. Hi, Opulus Prime. How are you doing? Okay, Tubi's been making a lot of plays lately for a free service. Tubi and Roku, they both do a lot. Roku has a lot of content because remember when what was that app that nobody bought, Quibi? When Quibi went down and they had all that content, Roku snapped up their content for like $100 million, and I think that app cost maybe $2 billion for them to make all that content, and they got it for $100 million. It was like bargain basement prices. So they both have been they both have been making a lot of plays, just snapping up content like, oh, you don't want this? I'll take it. Yes, today. I have Paramount Plus for now. So if Showtime combines with Paramount Plus, I may keep it. I may keep it because Showtime has Everywhere, Everything, All at Once. That show, I still haven't seen that movie, and I don't have Showtime. I really want to see that movie. So, so I'm. That's the only reason why I would want Showtime right now. I hope they combine before my year trial is up, and I will decide whether or not I'm going to keep it. Okay, so all right, for is Paramount Plus any good? It's okay. It's okay. I watch it for the movies because they have a lot of shows. They do a lot of stuff like they have a lot of old content on there from MTV and VH, from things like that I watch. So they have so I watch a lot of the old content, and then but they have a lot of shows. It's really good for like if you watch CBS shows, then you can, if you miss a CBS show, then you can catch it the next day on Paramount Plus. That's how I use it. And that's how I watched that Maverick movie with Tom Cruise. So like all your Paramount movies are going to be on there. So that's a good deal of movies. That's a lot of movies, Paramount movies. So it's okay. I would do it. I was contemplating doing it for $4.99, but that's with ads. So we'll see. We'll see. That's good to know. If Showtime combines with Paramount Plus, it may make it worth it. Those two can, Wonder Twin powers activate, may make it worth it, and I will keep it. I will keep it if they keep it around. Really? Okay. Well, I keep Disney Plus for the shows, for all of the Star Wars shows, the Marvel shows, and uh, I think that's pretty much Star Wars shows, Marvel shows, all the movies that come on, like Wakanda Forever, I think is on right now. So you get to watch the movies just a couple of months later. So it seems worth it for me to watch the show so far. So it's been worth it so far for the shows. Um, so so like I just finished watching Willow. I like that. I like that. Um, okay, so next we're going to watch the video from James Gunn. I have the video where he gives his announcement. So we're gonna watch his announcement, the whole announcement, and yeah, and then there's an article about some other things that he said regarding DC and how DC used to be before he came and saved it, I guess.
Gunn. I'm the co-CEO of DC Studios. So as many of you know, DC has been disconnected in film and television for a long time. And it's one of, our jobs, mine and Peter's, is to come in and make sure the DCU is connected in film, television, gaming, and animation. That the characters are consistent, played by the same actors, and it works within one story. And if something is outside of that, like Matt Reeves' Batman or Todd Phillips' Joker or Teen Titans Go, that it is clearly labeled as DC Elseworlds, outside of the mainstream DCU continuity. Now, Peter and I have gotten pretty lucky in terms of the 4 projects that are coming out over the next year. First, we have Shazam! Fury of the Gods. Shazam has always been off kind of in his own part of the DCU, so he connects very well. That moves directly into The Flash, a fantastic movie that I really love that resets the entire DC universe. Then to move into Blue Beetle, a fantastic film about a kid who's a marvelous part of the DCU, and then into Aquaman 2, which leads directly into our next few projects, which I'm going to tell you about now. So, Peter and I, along with a group of very talented writers, have started to map out an 8 to 10 year plan of what DC Studios will be in film, television, and gaming. This first chapter is called Gods and Monsters. Now, this, what I'm about to tell you, is a part of the first chapter. It's not the entire first chapter. The first project is Creature Commandos. Creature Commandos is an animated series. I've written all the episodes. Something we're going to do that's a little bit different at DC is we're going to have characters move into animation, out of animation, usually having the same actor play their voice as who plays them in live action. The next project up is Waller. This is a story of Amanda Waller, played by Viola Davis. Viola Davis is going to team up with members of Team Peacemaker, and this is a story that's been created by Crystal Henry, who did Watchmen, and Jeremy Carver, who created the Doom Patrol. It is a fantastic story that's out of this world, and I can't wait for people to see it. Okay, next up is the big one, the true beginning of the DCU. This is called Superman Legacy. This is being written by me. I'm in the middle of it. I'm having a great time doing it. And Superman will be released into theaters July 11th, 2025.
So that one got me because he not only has he started writing the script for that one, but they already have a release date for it. So Superman, that's Superman is a go. So I wonder, have they already started casting for it? Will we be hearing casting news soon?
Okay, the next thing is a big premiere HBO television series called Lanterns. This is a story of a couple of Green Lanterns, John Stewart and Hal Jordan, and we have a few other Lanterns peppered in there, but this is really a terrestrial-based TV show, which is almost like True Detective, with a couple of Green Lanterns who are space cops watching over Precinct Earth. In it, they discover a terrifying mystery that ties into our larger story of the DCU. Next is a big movie called The Authority. The Authority is a passion project of mine. It's based on the marvelous Wildstorm characters we are now bringing into the DCU and will interact with all of our primary DCU characters. The Authority are a group of superheroes who think the world is broken and they want to fix it by any means necessary. I think it's a very different look at superheroes. We're doing a television series called Paradise Lost. Paradise Lost is the story of Paradise Island, usually known as Themyscira, which is the birthplace of Wonder Woman. It's almost like Game of Thrones with Westeros, but with all of the inhabitants of Paradise Island. The introduction of the DCU's Batman is The Brave and the Bold. The Brave and the Bold is the story of Batman and his actual son, Damian Wayne. This is based on Grant Morrison's great comic book run. Damian Wayne is my favorite Robin. He's a little assassin who Batman tries to get in line, and so this is the story of the two of them and the beginning of sort of the Bat family in the DCU. Next up is a TV series called Booster Gold. Booster Gold is one of comics' really popular cult heroes. He is a fascinating guy. He's a loser from the future who uses future technology to come back to present day and become a superhero so that people will love him. It is basically the superhero story of imposter syndrome on an HBO Max series. One of my favorite comic book series from last year was Tom King's run on Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow. And so we're going to turn that into a big science fiction epic film. Now, Superman is a guy who was sent to Earth and raised by loving parents, whereas Supergirl in this story, she is a character who was raised on a chunk of Krypton. She watched everybody around her perish in some terrible way, so she's a much more jaded character. And that brings me to Swamp Thing, the last thing we're going to talk about, a very dark horror story in the origins of the monster who is Swamp Thing. And although it's totally outside of the rest of the DCU, it will still feed into the rest of the stories. Anyway, those are the stories that I can tell you about right now. I've loved the DC characters since I was a child. They're incredibly important to me. I knew that this was a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to do something very different. One of the things that's very important for me in all of these movies and TV series is that the director's vision and the vision of the writers and all of the creators is unique and something special. Storytelling is always king. That's all that matters to us. And I want to be true to those stories. I want to be true to you guys and really give you something different than you've ever seen before. Anyway, thank you, everybody. I appreciate you watching. I hope this was exciting for you because it's really exciting for me. And I can't wait to start to dive into these stories with you guys on this grand adventure. Thank you so much.
Okay. Okay, so that was a lot. So very excited about all the different characters that he's going to be utilizing, because that was one of my main gripes with the DC universe, is that they always use the same characters over again. Batman and Superman, Batman and Superman. But now that they're reaching out, using all these different characters, some that I have never heard of before, but you know, and then some that I've heard of through some of my other shows, like Booster Gold. I think I've heard of through Smallville, and Swamp Thing. I remember from when I was a little girl, they had those movies. I did not know that was a DC character, but bringing back Swamp Thing, and it's just going to be real interesting to see where they go with this. And you know, also as a writer director myself, storytelling is king for me too. So I'm really, really excited for his vision. And as he said, this is Gods and Monsters is only the first chapter. So this is only one tiny part of his plan. So we don't know how many chapters there are. We don't know what else, you know, what the other chapters consist of. I'm pretty sure he has a huge plan, but he's only told us the first part of it. So that's going to be interesting to see what, like, once we get past this Gods and Monsters, what else we're in store for. I am excited to see a John Stewart Green Lantern, because it seems like we only get to see him in animated. So I will be very excited to see him in live action. I hope this is going to be live action. Excuse me. There's something in the air is choking me. I want to see a live action John Stewart. That's what makes me so excited about the Green Lantern series. I want to see a live action John Stewart. Yeah. I mean, they got the beginning, you know, they already have the release date of the Superman movie, which will be the beginning of the universe, is 2025. 2025. So they're hitting the ground running. They're hitting the ground running. So apparently, and like I said, James Gunn had some comments regarding DC, and the Hollywood Reporter loves to make articles based around somebody's comments. So James Gunn blasts past DC leadership in candid comments. Gunn says DC's strategy was previously effed up, and that Superman star Henry Cavill was dicked around. In the 3 months he's been running DC Studios with Peter Safran, writer-director James Gunn has been unusually, and some would say refreshingly, candid for a Hollywood studio executive. His propensity to speak his mind was again on full display early this week when he and his partner Peter Safran briefed reporters on their ambitious slate during a presentation on the Warner Brothers lot. Among several choice comments peppered with profanities, Gunn said previous DC regimes were effed up, and at another point in the presentation insisted that former Superman star Henry Cavill was dicked around by the studio. It was unusual to hear a studio boss speak so openly. As a rule, a newly minted studio principal doesn't go around making such rebukes, at least not publicly in a town ruled by relationships. This is what happens when you put a writer and a director in an executive role, says one rival studio executive. After a lengthy search, Warner Brothers Discovery chief David Zaslav stunned Hollywood when hiring Gunn and Safran late last year to run the newly formed DC Studios, which brought movies, TV, animation, and video games under one roof. On the film side, they took over from Walter Hamada, the much maligned Walter Hamada, who worked for years alongside former Warner's movie chief Toby Emmerich. Other previous key players at DC include Zack Snyder, the director behind Man of Steel, Batman vs. Superman, Dawn of Justice, and Justice League, and who was key in films like Wonder Woman before departing the universe in 2017, with Josh Whedon taking over Justice League. Safran and Gunn's newly unveiled blueprint calls for an overall unified DC universe that will in part use marquee heroes to introduce lesser-known characters such as Marvel Studios has done. Gunn took direct aim at those previously in charge for taking a piecemeal approach to IP. He has an inside view, having directed the Suicide Squad for DC and Warner Brothers and having created the TV show spinoff Peacemaker. As everyone here probably knows, the history of DC is pretty messed up. It was effed up. No one was minding the mint. They were giving away IP like they were party favors at any creator who smiled at them. He added, there is the Arrowverse. There was the DCEU, which then split and became the Josh Whedon Justice League at one point, and the Snyderverse at another point. There is the Superman and Lois. There is Reeseverse. There are all these different things, said Gunn, referencing projects such as the CW slate of shows and Matt Reeves' The Batman, and even us. We came and did Suicide Squad, and that became Peacemaker, and all of a sudden, Batmite is a real thing. Gunn and Safran officially arrives on the Warner Brothers lot November 1st, and almost as soon made headlines when parting ways with Wonder Woman filmmaker Patty Jenkins, who had been prepping the third film in the Gal Gadot series. Next came a much publicized kerfuffle over Henry Cavill. In mid-October, the actor had happily announced on Instagram that he would be returning as Superman after making a cameo as the Man of Steel in Dwayne Johnson's Black Adam. But after Gunn and Safran arrived, they explained to Cavill that they would be proceeding in a different direction. Cavill once again took to social media to explain the situation, prompting some of his fans to say he was fired. During his Slate presentation this week, Gunn tried to clarify the actor's exit, saying Cavill was never fired since he didn't have an official deal. Gunn went further and assigned blame elsewhere. I like Henry. I think he's a great guy, he said. I think he's getting dicked around by a lot of people, including the former regime at this company. But this Superman is not Henry for a number of reasons. Gunn's Superman is a younger version, said to be around 25. It wasn't clear to which regime Gunn was referring to in reference to Cavill, though the Hollywood Reporter previously reported that Black Adam star Dwayne Johnson went around Hamada's back to get permission from Warner Brothers bosses Michael DeLuca and Pamela Abdy to tab Cavill for Adam. Gunn also took aim at release dates, saying the industry puts far too much emphasis on meeting the date versus making sure the movie is in good shape. This may help to explain why only two of the projects he and Safran revealed, Superman Legacy and The Batman Part 2, were dated. Both will hit theaters in 2025. We are not going to put hundreds of millions of dollars into a film where a screenplay is only 2/3 of the way done and have to finish it while we're making the movie. I've seen it happen again and again, and it's a mess, Gunn said. I think it's the primary reason for the deterioration of quality films today versus 20, 30 years ago. In addition to his duties at DC, Gunn has Marvel Studios' Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 due out in May. The filmmaker became a high-profile director over at Marvel, rising up with Guardians of the Galaxy movie released in 2014. Since taking over as his new job, Gunn has continued to have an active Twitter presence, responding to fans and cheekily swatting down rumors. Asked by the press if he would continue to have to use social media to debunk rumors, he responded, "Have to? That's my joy." Okay. Well, this is true. This is true. Gunn ain't tell no lies. Yeah. Yeah, he ain't tell no lies. Batman been carrying DC for so long, it's going to be good to see some fresh faces with good concepts. Yes. That I'm so excited. I'm so excited to see something more than just Batman and Superman. The Rock put a lot into the Black Adam. He took ownership in that movie, and I'm kind of sad that he doesn't get a chance to do more than one. It really could have been in Elseworlds too, but oh well. that's they have decided that Black Adam is done for. I'm sad. I really like that movie. It should have gotten a chance to do more than what it did. So pretty much. Pretty much he was like, he never had a contract, so you can't be fired if you were never hired. So but yeah, so he's gonna be interesting. He's always had a very strong social media presence, and he's always had a very what is the nicest way to put it? He has a very strong, he's very vocal. very vocal socially. Like the whole reason he got on DC is because he was very vocally against the Cheeto in chief, and he was on his social media uh tweeting and whatnot against him, and a bunch of people who were I guess sympathetic to the Cheeto went digging deep down into his Twitter and found some tweets that he had tweeted out like eons and eons ago, and they were jokes made in bad taste. They were really really bad taste jokes that he had already apologized for, and that he had already explained to Disney when he had been hired, I guess, by Marvel. But because it was brought up again, they made a big stink out of it. So Disney had to fire him off of Guardians of the Galaxy. And they fired him from Guardians of the Galaxy 3. And so then while he was fired, he got Suicide Squad. So we got James Gunn in the DC, in the DC world because of the Cheeto and Cheese followers. And after a while, people were like wondering, well, who is Disney going to replace James Gunn with? And Disney never put out any names. Whenever anybody would suggest anybody to them, Disney was like, yeah, okay. And then the next thing you know, they were like, we've rehired James Gunn. So Disney fired James Gunn, sat on their hands for most of the year, and then rehired him to come back at the very last minute to just go ahead and direct Guardians of the Galaxy 3 anyway. And so then I forget, because he had this job with Suicide Squad, I forget which had first position, but he had to work out doing both those movies, doing the Suicide Squad and doing the Guardians of the Galaxy 3. And since Suicide Squad came out first, I'm guessing Suicide Squad must have been done first. So so that's how we got James Gunn in the DC universe, because of some haters, but it worked out in our favor. Oh, you need to catch up. It's awesome. Black Adam is awesome. I love it. You will love it. If you're a fan of Dwayne Johnson, you would love it. It just, the themes, I love the themes of the movie. There are just, I don't want to go too deep into it because you haven't seen it, but there are just the themes in the movie, just love them. It's great. You got to see it. Yeah. Yeah. Snowed in Texas now. I'm from a place that gets real snow, so I always have to side eye people who say they get snow in Texas. Like, we haven't gotten real snow this winter, but snowed in Texas. Okay. I definitely like how outspoken he is. Um, like I said, him being so outspoken is how we got him in the DC universe. So it worked out for our good. and it was his being outspoken is going to be good for us. I'm a DC girl. I love DC comics. So I'm thoroughly excited about this. Thoroughly. Okay, how do I feel about the animated movies being connected to the live stuff? Because Marvel didn't do that. I think it's different. And I think it's different. Okay. I think it's different, but I think it will be great because the one thing that DC does well is the animated films. Their animated films were awesome. The animated films were some of the best things that they were some of the best movies that they did was the animated films. And to go from animation to live action and just use this and to have it connected so you can have something happen in animation and then have it carry over into live action. I think that has great potential. I think so. um it'll be nice to see how they execute it. So it'll be nice to see how they execute it. So I'm a see. We'll see how they execute it. We'll see how it, and if they do it with movies as well as with animated TV shows. It's not anything minor. It's the major overarching themes of the movie. That's why I don't want to speak about the major overarching themes of the movie. You gotta see it because it's okay. One thing I will talk about is they deal with the how America, go into other countries, and how we're always coming in like, even though in this case we're superheroes, but coming in like a superhero to clean up situations that nobody asked them to. So it's that's one of the things that they do, and I don't know, it made me think about a lot of different things, and I liked it. I have to watch that, the Super Sons. I keep seeing that. I have there's a couple of animated films that I have in my watch list that I want to sit down and catch up on. Um, and Super Sons is one of them. But yeah, their animated lists was their animated films were always great. So, but yeah, so I am very excited, super excited. Um, what day is today? Today is Wednesday. So today is Wednesday. So I'm gonna go check out Tubi and see what Tubi has on, see what Warner Brothers, properties are on Tubi. That's interesting. Tubi has stuff starting today. So I'm gonna go check out Tubi and see what they have from HBO Max. And but can't wait for the Gods and Monsters plan to come into action. And also, so I'll see you guys. So today's Wednesday. So I'll see you guys next Monday. And this Friday is the last of the Harry Potter novel versus adaptation. It'll be Deathly Hallows Part 2. So that will be the video on this Friday. Okay. So other than that, see you later. Have a good week. Thanks for watching.